I want to talk about the offensive line, and I brought this up on your show earlier this week on the morning show. Where would this line be right now if they didn't go out and get Elijah Pritchett and they didn't go out and get Rocco Spindler?
It would be. They'd be lost. It'd be sort of lost. I'm not going to say lost cause, but this spring would be rough because you're without, like, Turner Corcoran's not practicing. Henry Latofsky's not practicing.
Gatula.
Teddy Prohaska's not practicing. Gunnar Gatula's not practicing. You see the trend here. Knack is back. Tyler Knack. That helps. That helps a lot. But there's so many guys that you'd be without. So I just don't, when you think about how much could you really get done, continuity from spring to August would be lacking big time. But now you have Spindler, who's pretty set at right guard. I'd say set. And Elijah Pritchett, who's set at left tackle. And they've already impressed. 5 practices in since we're doing this show. They're 5 practices in. And they're good. They're good. They've been good. They've been what the coaches hoped.
And then that other tackle, it could be so many options right now. Lutowski, it could be Gatula, could be Teddy, could be Gunner. You don't.
Yeah, there are options.
I mean, they have
options.
It's kind of like you have door number 1, 2, 3, or 4.
There's a lot. Could you put Knack out there? I think you could. I think he's moved.
I still would have a hard time placing him over 4 players that I mentioned that have all started.
I know. I agree.
You got 4 guys that can play tackle that have all started Big Ten games.
Yeah,
all of them.
Yeah.
And I would argue that when he was healthy, the peak of Teddy Prohaska, or the ceiling, was the highest. But he hasn't been healthy.
What you're getting at here is this line could be Donovan's best line, right? Donovan Raiola.
He's got a bunch of dudes, and he got everybody. He lost Ben Scott and Ben Hart, and he replaced them with Spindler and Pritchett. Pretty good trades.
So yeah, what they did, what you're looking at now is Donovan Raiola in his 4th season at Nebraska. This could be his best line. This is 4th season. This could be his best line. So it'd be the best line sometime at Nebraska, right? How was Frost's last line? It's pretty good, actually, wasn't it? His last offensive line.
Who was on that line?
Oh, you're usually good at this.
Well,
was Hymas gone? Was Farniok gone?
Those guys were long gone.
Oh, they were long gone.
Those were Mike Cavanaugh, Mike Riley recruits.
Okay. But they played for Frost.
For a year or two.
Okay.
All the way till 2020. Those guys played.
I'm a year off then.
Well, Frost's last season was 2022.
I always think of it as, it was.
So
I always think of it as 2021 because he lasted 2 games.
No, Corcoran and Teddy were in those tackle roles. I mean, they had guys like that. But
bottom line, this is the best Nebraska line in probably 5 years. It should be. It should be, right?
And there's 7 or 8 guys that can play.
Shouldn't it be? Can we say that?
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
And I do think, like, you always get the questions from fans. Like, they want to see like Grant Bricks play or Preston Taumua, but look, it's not a good thing just to throw young guys out that aren't ready.
Well, you don't need them right now. It's more of the conversation.
And I always throw this back, like, who they jumping?
They don't need them right now.
Like, who would you put Bricks over now? Like,
Nobody.
You just can't. If you're having a reasonable conversation about the O-line and the experience returning, you're not just because, he was a 4-star recruit, we're going to start playing him. You develop a line step by step.
Yeah. Bricks, I watched him with the tackle group the other day, and he's just, you're talking about, he's not jumping Pritchett. Even with the injuries, he's not jumping Tyler Knack. I don't know that he would jump Knutson or Brock. Is it Brock Knutson? Knutson. Or he's not jumping Gunner when Gunner's healthy. There's I don't know if he's jumping Grant Segrin. I mean, so yeah, he's got ways to go. It's not that it's bad. Matt Rule talks about this very openly. When an offensive line is hitting on all cylinders, or in good programs, he said, you don't even have discussion about playing a guy like Bricks. You just wait till his 3rd or 4th year. And then here we go.
And here's the progression now. Machachok, Sledge, they're in year 3. And Gunnar Gatula's in year 3, and we're talking about them now.
Yeah, you're right.
So those 3 particularly have emerged. And then you hope this year, as the year moves on, we're starting to talk about Taumua, Gibson Pyle. Well, Gibson Pyle's a player too. We always leave him out, but they are high on Gibson Pyle.
Those young guys, that young class of guys is pretty good. Gibson Pyle, Grant Bricks, Tamua. We saw Tamua at the Polynesian Bowl where you're wearing quarter zip today. Good job. So they're pretty well set in that room right now. It's a good room.
No, and one other comment, Dana Holgerson said,
what?
They want to be a 50-50 team, which shouldn't shock anyone.
That's what Rule said.
Rule said that.
Yeah.
And they last year were 51-49. They ran at 51% last year. So that shouldn't shock anybody. I mean, they're going to strive for that balance. This is, a team that generally will run 65 snaps a game.
Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah. 50-50 is about what you'd expect.
Maybe 70.
Trend too far into that they're passing more than they're running,
Yeah, like that's the difference. Like in the Frost era, they would get over 100 snaps in games.
So much different.
Tim Beck would get over 100. Well, in this era now, it's 65, 70 maybe.
Mm-hmm. So much different.
So in that game, you're getting 35 runs, 35 passes. I mean, that sounds about right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, especially if you're not running the quarterback.
Right. That's what changed this entire discussion. That Nebraska, and I always mention it, but it's worth mentioning. They were 98th running the ball last year nationally. You got to get better than that. You can't. You could probably get to 9 wins like that, but hard to do. Not easy.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, even without having a running quarterback, it's hard to get 200 rushing yards in a game.
Right.
Because if you're only going to run it 35 times, if you get 200 rushing yards on 35 rushing attempts, that means you're going to have to have some big runs in there.
There's that part of the discussion, but you always identify the correct part of the discussion is you got to run the ball when you need to be
situational.
Yeah. Like the biggest part to me is, and we've seen it at Nebraska too often where they couldn't salt away games because they couldn't run.
The Pinstripe Bowl was one of the ones this year where we saw them do it at the end.
They did it.
And they called that 4th and 1 and Ramir up the right side got it. And I mean, it was a physical run. I mean, that's what you want to see.
Yep. I recall a Wisconsin game in Lincoln, real windy daytime game where they should have won, but they could not close out the game because they couldn't run.
2012?
No.
Not 2012. Mike Riley's first year, 2015.
That might have been later than that, actually. I thought it was a Frost game. But anyway, they just that game strikes my it was a real windy game. Wisconsin came in here and won a real low scoring game, and Nebraska should have been.
Oh, you're talking about the game where Mickey Joseph and Bill Bush.
Yes.
Yeah, that was 2022.
Right.
And it was frigid.
It's really cold. Nebraska should have closed it out. They couldn't run late.
Yeah, Wisconsin converted a wheel route play, and that quarterback threw a ball up in the air in that 30-mile-an-hour wind.
Yep.
And they came down and they won the game.
But the reason they got the ball late is because Nebraska couldn't salt it away.
They couldn't finish it off.
They couldn't finish it off. They couldn't run the clock out because they couldn't run.